So I think this is pronounced like Showdown Proxy, but I don't really know. It's kind of confused, like SS Countdown. Okay, anyways, so there's a 12-year-old vulnerability, so to speak, that's in SSH regarding the configuration. So there's this thing called TCP forwarding, and basically it would be like if Ben told messages to me, and then I told messages to Nick. Nick would never know that it was Ben talking to him. It would look like it was me talking to him. So that's basically TCP forwarding. So it's built into SSH. You can basically create a tunnel to go from one host to another host, and it would look like it's going from the middleman. So it's been enabled by default in SSH for like a long time, and it was reported as a vulnerability in like 2004, and I don't think it's been fixed, and a lot of IoT devices are being shipped out with that enabled. And so what that means is that if the default creds are still set and stuff, you can basically TCP forward into the SSH, like you can use SSH on the device to TCP forward, and it would never look like you were doing anything. It would only look like it's coming from the device. So this was discovered and kind of released by Akamai, who is the CDN. They hosted Brian Krebs, his blog and all that. So yeah, just if you have IoT devices again, make sure that you're configuring your SSH properly. Make sure you don't have TCP forwarding enabled, and make sure you change your default creds, because that can be really dangerous.
So, just one cut talk. So, if some of you participated in IRSec last year, this is exactly what happened to you with your IoT cam. For those who weren't at IRSec this past semester, every team had an IoT camera, and we put a special firmware on there that had a backdoor of SSH, and we basically just tunneled through SSH using forwarding to get into your network. And people were like, I gotta keep my camera up. We're like, great, keep doing that. That was like consistent backdoor, and no one thought that we had backdoored their IoT camera, and it was really great. So we had like a persistent backdoor into your network for like a really long time. Some teams caught on to that, some others didn't. That's okay. So that's like the big thing about IoT is people really don't think about it as a security concern. Also, the SSH thing, forwarding, you can disable that in the SSH configuration file. So it's not like a huge big deal. You can go back and just disable it. So.
Yeah. So they said that they had estimated over 2 million devices were compromised by this. But yeah. So Donald Trump, our favorite person, it's been discovered just using public information, not like trying to brute force or anything, that the servers that he's using for his email, for his campaign, are really old and really insecure. Like Windows Server 2003 and IIS like 6, I think, which is like super old. In 2015, Microsoft had made a statement that they would no longer be supporting Windows Server 2003. They wouldn't be putting out any more security patches or anything for it. But he's still using that, and like it's really bad. So if anybody wants to, not saying that you should, but I mean, vulnerable servers.
You have enough information from last week to do what you need to do. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so that's a fun read, but yeah. I personally have never seen this, but apparently this is this thing that's been going around Facebook. I guess it happened a couple of years ago, and it's happening again. That people are just like posting this thing. They're like, I don't give permission for Facebook to use any of my content. And by posting that, you kind of just did, because terms of service agreements. So basically, this is just like hoax that's been like going around, and it's like, I don't give permission for Facebook to use any of my content according to this long number that's probably a law, etc. And it's just like, don't post this, because you kind of look like an idiot. Like, you automatically, when you created your Facebook account, you agreed to terms of service agreements that you probably didn't read, and it basically says that they don't own anything that you post, but you have agreed to let them use it for whatever they want. And Facebook is not ever, or at least they haven't said that they're ever going to make all posts public, and so they're not going to like take your private content and put it publicly or anything like that.
So one thing, I'm a privacy nut like most of you are, but I don't get when people get get so upset about posts that they take, write their own words, and then make public on a public social media. I don't get why they're so upset about this, because they understand the process that you're making it public by putting it on your account and putting your name associated with that. Like, you're going through the process of that. I don't get why they're so upset about their posts. If they don't want people to have it, don't post, like me. I haven't posted since last year. So, I mean, that's just my claim. I don't get why people are so upset, but this is the world we live in.
So Google, the FBI has these things. They're called national security letters, and they're really broken. Like, basically, they can just be like, this could possibly lead to a counterterrorism investigation, so we want this secret subpoena that's never revealed in public court that we give to you, and you're required to not speak about the fact that you got it, what you gave to us, and we don't have to write down that we ever gave it out either. Yeah, so there's a lot of these that are sent out. This was kind of revealed a lot. It was in like when the Patriot Act was being performed and stuff, I think last year, 2 years ago. So Google got one. They were finally released from their gag order. So they, in their biannual transparency report, which they always say like how many subpoenas they got and all that kind of stuff, they revealed that they actually got one of these from the FBI, but they didn't say what they released. So that's a little scary, because that means that the FBI is willing to go to Google and be like, give us this information. Oh, also you can't tell anybody that we asked you for it. Yeah, so
Go on. Just wanted to finish up. So you're not even allowed to tell anyone that you've received this letter. So doing this is like really bad and really ballsy of Google. You're not supposed to even tell people you received this letter. And if you're a small business, you can't even get a lawyer to come help you with a national letter because they're outside your organization, which is really concerning, and only top level people know. So like, it's really concerning. Who is allowed to know about this if your company gets it? And it's really weird, and there's a whole lot of things around it. So if you get a chance, definitely go read about these things, because it's really crazy that someone like, yeah, sure, this sounds like a great idea to make a law. Like, let's do this. Let's enable this. So
yeah, and you think that like something like this, they wouldn't actually send out a lot of these national security letters, but they send out like a lot, like over 1,000 a year. Yeah. So the statistics are online, but it's pretty ridiculous. Okay. Windows Server 2016 is finally out. Chuck, you might want to. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool features in this. A lot of stuff to do with like when you're like hosting stuff on Windows Server and you go to like a server host, a lot of people will be like, I don't want to use that because you can make a copy of the disks and then sell my private information. But the way that Windows Server 2016 is set up now is that it's essentially impossible to do that, because it's the whole machine itself, and then it runs Hyper-V underneath that, and you have control over everything. So this, basically, you have your server administrator, and nothing else has access to that, and then you have Hyper-V, which is your, what's the word I'm looking for? It's your work, like, it manages all your virtual machines, right? Yeah, hypervisor, right? Hyper-V, yeah, okay. Yeah.
like those.
Yeah, and then your hypervisor manages all your VMs underneath that, so it's like a lot of layers of protection, and it's making sure that you can't just have some random guy with a ponytail taking your drives and stuff in a dark room with lots of other servers. Yeah, so there's just a lot of really cool stuff in here. Docker is actually included. If you know what Docker is, it's like containerized software. And yeah, so Docker's included in Windows Server 2016. So that's really cool if you like servers. Yeah. VeraCrypt. Has anybody ever used TrueCrypt? So TrueCrypt is like really good encryption. It like encrypts your drives, you can encrypt certain files, and it's really hard to break. TrueCrypt kind of stopped being like updated, and it was not really maintained anymore. So VeraCrypt basically took TrueCrypt and keeps it up to date. It's like an open source implementation of it. And so everybody's like, yeah, VeraCrypt's probably secure because TrueCrypt was secure. But the Open Source Technology Improvement Fund, they hire people to audit Veracrypt's code to see if it's actually as secure as they say it is and that it should be, and it's got a lot of flaws in it. So they discovered 8 critical vulnerabilities, 3 mediums, and 15 low severity vulnerabilities. However, luckily they have patched a bunch of them, but there are still some in there that are not fixed. But you should definitely, if you use Veracrypt, you should download the latest version and make sure that you're using that, and just keep an eye out for whenever they push out the patches for the rest of the issues.
Thank you, Joel. So, as you all know, Grim is having co-op opportunities, so if you'd like to work for Grim, contact Jamie. He was here last week, and he's Mumbo on Slack to set up an interview. He'll be here the week after Thanksgiving. So, RC3CTF, it's the weekend of November 18th, so start putting your teams together. We're going to get the sign-up page up and working within the next week or two, so you guys can create your teams and all that. Categories are going to be web, forensics, reversing, pony, crypto, trivia, and NIST. So. And then sponsors will be donating challenges, and we'll be tracking who submits flags for those sponsor challenges, and then we'll take your information and submit it to that sponsor so they can contact you directly. However, you can opt out of that if you want to. RC4, so that's tomorrow. Woo! So super exciting. So we have a lot of really great talks. So here on the next slide is our tentative schedule/agenda for tomorrow. So we're going to be starting at 10 a.m. I'm going to be doing a quick talk on the history of Phil for those who are uneducated about Phil. So Phil's a great thing. So we're going to be talking about him. We're going to do our member presentations, and then our last 2 presentations are going to be our alumni training sessions. One by Jamie Geiger on Python for hackers, and one by Silas Cutler on Intro to Malware Analysis.
Okay, so Miter recently was kind of shocked by like the whole Mirai botnet and how many IoT things can actually be like taken advantage of and used. And one of Jesse and I's professors, HB, he's new to the department, he found this challenge that Miter put out that was like, okay, we want a new scanner for IoT vulnerabilities and like IoT devices in general. Like, yeah, Shodan's pretty good. If you don't know what Shodan is, it's essentially Google for devices around the internet, not just web pages. And Miter kind of wants to make one of those, but it's specifically for Internet of Things devices that can find those vulnerabilities. They have a grand prize of $50,000, and HB was thinking of heading up an RIT team for it. If you're interested in developing a scanner that will scan a network for IoT devices and potential vulnerabilities, please contact HB at that email right there, and we'll see if we can get a team organized for it.
And then Windows Defense, in my infinite wisdom at 3 a.m., I forgot to tick the button that says collect emails. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend the submission for another week. So if you submitted flags, we need you to go back and resubmit them. Sorry, our apologies. We've created a template, so this doesn't happen in the future. Sorry, just forgot to tick that button, so now we don't know who submitted flags. So if you go back and do that. Also, my Windows Easy flag seems to have disappeared / I can't find it. I don't know where I put it. So, there's a setting for the Windows firewall that doesn't allow you to turn on the firewall. When you find that, you'll know what it is. When you find that, you can submit that as a flag. So there you go. And you guys can use the same submission form. So today we're going to have a professional flash talk by Silas Cutler. He's an RC3, he's RC3's alumni technical advisor. So if you guys have any technical questions, we'll direct you to him, and he knows like almost everyone in the industry, and he's super smart, and he's really awesome. He does a lot of cool things. He works for CrowdStrike. He's also part of the RIT Honeypot. So we're going to have him talk about what he does on his daily basis. So, cool.
He's so cute.
There he is. Hey, Silas.
Hey, what's up?
All right. So you're on live. So go ahead, do your spiel.
Okay. My name is Silas Cutler. I'm a security researcher for a company out of DC called CrowdStrike. A little about me and about what I do as far as work-wise. As a security researcher, my job is basically to be able to analyze sort of any type of threat that gets presented to me by managers, customers, you name it. Most of my day is spent taking apart malware, figuring out how it works and why. Specifically today, I've been kind of buried in the dying DNS DDoS, which just happened this morning, and the dirty cow stuff with the Linux privilege escalation. So spent a lot of time taking apart malware and basically hunting hackers. So a lot of the Chinese stuff that people talk about, the China hack in the US, that's been a big focus of mine for the past 2 years. 3 years, wow, what year is it? Been a long time now. Outside of that, I have 2 big projects that seem to get a lot of attention. The first is something called Malshare, which is a public virus repository or malware repository. And a little bit of detail about it as well. Malshare is actually a platform. So what it is in addition to just being a resource for security researchers to acquire new samples of malware and some basic threat intel feeding data, we're also really interested in working with the community to help people get into this field. So if there's something you're interested in doing or some malware project that you have, we're happy to help. We've got a lot of resources. We've got a lot of cool stuff that can help make your project successful. We have a lot of stuff that we're interested in doing as well. So if malware is something you're interested in, feel free to reach out. We'll always like helping people out. The other thing is something I call Project 25499, which is the arbitrary name that I chose after being sued because of using a different name. But that is a full internet scanning project. So I'm authorized to do complete IPv4 scans for essentially anything I want, relatively whenever I want. Recently we did a scan for Elasticsearch. So people who use NoSQL database systems and leave them publicly accessible, we mapped out how many there were. It was, I think it was about less than 10,000 at this point. Those are fully open vulnerable systems that can be exploited. Do a lot of stuff with like telemetry and just general hunting. When people talk about things like shell shock or heartbleed, we do scans for that type of stuff as well. So large-scale vulnerability analysis and vulnerability hunting. If scanning is something you're interested in, we're always looking for people who are interested or have things they want to scan for. It is a researcher-focused project, so we don't have any customers, we don't have any product really. If there's something that you're interested in that you think would be a useful data set that you'd like to scan for, reach out. Happy to run the scans, happy to help you figure out how to do it yourself. So always happy to help. Background about me, graduated from RIT in 2010 or 11, I think. We're there. Been working for CrowdStrike for 3 years. Before that I worked for Dell, and before that I worked down at Global Crossing, right down on, what's that road? Lehigh Station. So, that's it for me. Questions, I guess?
Anyone got any questions?
Yeah, so what was the extent of your involvement in looking at the malware of the DNC hacks? Because I know CrowdStrike did a report on that.
He asked me what the extent of your involvement with looking at the DNC hack.
The general story goes like this. I don't know how widely this is circulated or how protected under NDA this is, so I'll be as careful as I can. DNC was a services engagement, so we had incident response people on the ground there actively cleaning up their network. Fancy Bear's an active we've tracked for a long time. We know a lot about them, and basically services reached out to us and said, hey, give us everything you have on Fancy Bear. And then we started the whole exchange and passing information. We were getting samples, analyzing them, and sending them back results. So personally, it wasn't my case. I didn't do a lot with it. The last big Russian case that I had was something we track as Blue Bear, which was the if people follow a lot of stuff in Ukraine, where the nuclear power plants, they're basically their entire power grid was shut down last Christmas, in what was considered one of the first real cyber warfare operations. That was my case. I've been looking at black energy and nuclear for 2 years now. So I'm a big fan of that. I also know the author of the malware. We're friends on Twitter. So you rejected my Facebook friend request, so.
Any other questions? Sweet. Alright. Thank you, Silas.
Yep, I'm on Slack. Feel free to hit me up whenever if you've just got general analysis questions or just looking for somebody to help you with some analysis. Feel free to hit me up. Do a lot of honeypot stuff. Do a lot of just general analysis. So, and I think I'm talking tomorrow at 3 on interim malware analysis.
Or 4, yeah. So.
Yeah, 3.
If you need help with any projects, this is like the man to go to. Like I always go to him and ask him about projects, especially the legality of my projects. This is the guy to go to for most of your legal questioning. So he's not a lawyer, but he has some experience.
Yeah, I've been officially sued twice. I don't know if RIT allows me back on their network.
You want to talk about that?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah.
So-
I want to hear it.
Okay, so a few years ago I was heavily involved in Sparsa back when I was a student. And we had this really great deal, which was I had a whole bunch of one-use servers and I was moving to South Carolina. So I offered them to Sparsa with the condition that you leave one of the boxes in the rack online and just kind of ignore it, pretend it's not there. So I used this server as my sort of like launch point for a lot of research stuff I did because hosting is expensive and I'm broke. Or was broke when I left RC. Anyways though, so what ended up happening was, I was working as a security analyst and I was looking at a lot of malware that was coming out of China. And I started noticing that a lot of the domains that the malware was using to basically connect back to the attackers behind it had expired. And these domains are just openly available for registration. So, like any reasonable person, I decided to start registering these domains. At the peak of what I owned probably close to 500 different domains. Probably got 300 to 400 dynamic domains, so 9 DNS, no IP, and was redirecting them to a host in Amazon. And DNS server misconfiguration ended up resulting in all the traffic getting pointed to a box, or my box, in the Sparsa office. So all the traffic was that was originally going to these domains from infected hosts, from companies, from everybody, was going to me at RIT basically. So this is really cool. There's a lot of like really, really high profile victims. Most of who are on ND, nope, not ND. So like the NSA of India, they were beating back to RIT. This one actually is a little sensitive, so I'll be vague. It's like a united, I want to say like a nations thing. So they were also beating back to so there was a lot of really high profile victims. And one day, it's just like 2 o'clock in the morning, which is like midway through my shift time, power goes out, lose connectivity to the box, and I spend basically the next month emailing, calling, and harassing Hyden Sanders to turn the box back on because he was the only one in Rochester. So a month goes by, I find out Hyden's not actually in Rochester, and I get a call from the current president of Sparsa with Stackball and 2 guys from the FBI who were basically sitting there in front of my server wanting to know if I'd been compromised. So uncomfortable things later, I ended up driving 18 hours back to RIT to pick up my server, and I still have it in my rack on the other side of the station because I'm not meant to build that hardware. So, fun, exciting opportunity. When people talk in reports now about identifying victims, a lot of places are using a lot of the methodologies that I worked on with that early synchrony project, and is now one of the things that a lot of people are doing for tracking victims of these big malware campaigns.
Alright, cool. Any other questions? Alright, that's it. Thank you, Silas. So that's Silas. He's a super awesome guy, so definitely reach out to him if you want to get help on any personal projects I did. Got it for free. Alright, so social engineering, really big disclaimer, don't do any of this to like random people that you aren't authorized. You can get hired to social engineer a company and their employees, but you've been authorized to do so and you've been given a scope. Don't go do this to your friends because it's illegal. Unless your friends give you permission, although I don't know why they necessarily do that. So I'm not in CSEC, I'm not an engineer, so social engineering, where is it? So social engineering, so we're trying to manipulate someone to do a certain action that may or may not be in the best interest of them so that we can gain something that we want. So that's basically the TLDR. Social engineering. But what do you know? So social engineering, you want to always verify things. So what I mean about this is, who saw Mr. Robot? Who saw the episode where they were trying to go to the compound? He's like, yeah, I'm this big famous guy, go look me up on Wikipedia. Who saw that one? Okay, so for those who don't know, they went to the compound, they were trying to break in. He's like, I'm this super important guy, I'm a billionaire, go look me up on Wikipedia. Well, Wikipedia is public, and you can go, hey, I'm gonna make my own post and make me look really fucking awesome and cool. And this guy went on Wikipedia, is like, wow, this guy's legit, he's on Wikipedia. So remember that when you're looking at public things like Wikipedia, always verify. Because people like to lie. So like Reddit's not a trustable source. You had a question? Okay, good. So, first thing. So humans are trusting because they don't have a reason not to be trusting. So we can take this as a vulnerability and use it to our advantage. So humans are easily the easiest exploit for a company. They're always going to be the weakest target. We can have everyone have 12-digit passwords that have special characters, lowercase, uppercase, numbers, but if they're willing to give them out, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And it's much easier to try and social engineer a person than it is to try and crack a password, so remember that. Or just leave a USB in a parking lot and let curiosity do the best. You think this is funny, but it actually really works all the time. It's really
It still works.
What?
It still works.
Yeah, curiosity kills the cat. We all know this. People are like, I wonder what's on this USB drive. Or, hey, I found a cool USB drive. This is great. I'm going to go plug it in and use it for my own data.
Just write that at 64 gigs and everybody would pick that up.
Yeah, 64 gigs. There you go. Like you get a 10-pack for like $20 on Amazon. Like, so think about that. So social engineering is fun. There's a lot of different techniques. So the biggest thing with social engineering is you want to do recon. You want to figure out as much information about your target as you can. The more you know, the better off you are. We keep reiterating this thing is that recon's the most important part, and it's the part that everyone skips over. So if they exist, they can be found. Some people are harder to find than others. So there's a guy at ShmooCon, I forget his name, but he has a handler, and only like 2 or 3 people at ShmooCon actually know his real name. Everyone there only knows him by his handler. Well, he got married. And his wife took a picture of him and then tagged his real name in a Facebook post. And now everyone knows his name. So like, this is really easy. It doesn't have to be you. It can be someone else that does it, even like a loving person, such as your wife. So keep that in mind. Use things like Google and search engines alike because they're always like scouring the internet, crawling and collecting information, and they're just ordering it to themselves for you guys to go there and query it. So you can use things like Facebook, Google Plus if you really want to. I don't know who's using that. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, personal blogs. Something that's really cool, and people never think this until I tell them, they're like, well, I have someone's email, but how do I figure out who it is? Well, you can just go type it in on your RIT account, like create an email, type in their email, now you got their name. So you can use that to look up people on RIT's network.
So a really interesting attack vector that I noticed recently was that there's a few reports of Twitch streamers actually getting their accounts hacked because people in chat would just ask them like very typical security questions that you would use to like recover your password. And so they're like, hey, what's your birthday? Like, I'm 17, like how old are you kind of thing. And through like these very crafty questions, we're able to get all the information necessary to reset their password and take their account and then sell all their gold and shit. So I thought that was like an interesting way to do it as well.
This brings up a really good point, how security questions are now changing to things that are harder and harder that you may not necessarily find on a Facebook page. The way that it used to be, what's your favorite color? Well, my favorite color is blue. My pickup truck is blue. You can almost make the assumption that my favorite color is blue. Or from other things on my Facebook profile, you can find out that my favorite color is blue. Also, what's your favorite book? If I liked my book, which is probably if I really like that book, I probably liked it on Facebook. You can probably assume that's a security question. What's my birthday? That's not too hard on Facebook. So there's a lot of different ways where you can find certain pieces of information to help you. So white pages is really cool where you can correlate names to mailing addresses. One thing to keep in mind about this is that you need a mailing address. So if you're trying to find your friend or a friend of a friend, they're really not going to be on white pages, but if you can figure out the name of their parents have records because their parents pay taxes, and they have land, and they have a house and all that, so they have records and stuff like that. So you can find them through their parents, which is really fun. Dumpster diving is always really fun. Don't do that, that is illegal. But if you're given the right to do it at a company, go ahead and do it. A lot of people just throw shit out that they really shouldn't. It's really fun to go look at your own trash sometime. Look at it, you'll be really surprised. County records, some counties actually allow you to just sign up. You don't even have to live in that county. You can just sign up with a username and password, and then you can just access county documents. There's some really interesting things depending on different counties. You can get access to different things like court records and like what land they own and stuff like that. And then Nmap, as we keep iterating, find out what is running on their network. So if you're doing a company, find out what services are running. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. So Google dorking. So you're using Google to search Google and other Google applications to find security holes in configurations of computers and information about people, companies, and etc. If people set up web servers incorrectly, you can go and search that on Google and find that file because Google's found it on their web server, so you can too if Google's found it. So it's really interesting. Here are some examples of Google dorking. So one is a document name. So if you're looking for a book, the name of the book, filetype.pdf, so then it'll give you all the public links where you can download that PDF. I'm going to stop there. You can take it the rest of the way if you get tired of paying for books. Caching websites. So this is really cool. So if a company has a page that's public and they figure out, hey, we don't want that anymore, but Google's already cached it, you can go find it in Google's cache, even though the company removed it. Kind of interesting, kind of a cool feature. You can find out in URL phrase, you can be like, hey, I want to look for all URLs that have this phrase in it. So you can do that, and Google will return results. You can do multiple phrases. You can do cite, the name of the domain, and then in URL login, so you can find other login portals. Yes?
So another thing to add on to the caching, there's this awesome site called the Wayback Machine, which basically caches a lot of popular things for like all the way back to, I think the earliest one that I found was like 2007 or 2003. It's the Internet Archive. They have just archives of websites and files that are on there.
Let the archive though.
What Joel said.
So yeah, so you can use that, and then you can use this thing at the bottom, which you can look for email addresses, email passwords, and such. So use at your own risk. Maltico, it's a really cool tool. It has a crappy interface, but it's really useful and it's really awesome. It scrapes all publicly available information like from everywhere. It'll save you so much time if you actually learn how to use it, so definitely spend some time doing that if you want to go into this stuff. You can search for a single person or a company, and it uses social media accounts, emails, domains, and so much more. So we scan RIT.edu, so we started here with our domain, and then it just started spanning out all these different things and shows you how different things link together. So this is really cool. It helps you visualize everything and how everything connects together. So we can kind of see that there's other subdomain here. Here's a bunch of emails and stuff like that. So it's little details that count more than anything. So really pay attention to it when you're social engineering. So last semester for my pen testing class, I did like an auditing of a company. We had to do it for a project for the class, and so I did it for a past employer. And some things that I found really interesting that some people might skip over, so I wanted to talk about that. So while I was scanning, I found out that someone was a member on Spiceworks, so I went there and clicked on it. And then when I found out, I was looking at their Spiceworks account and what groups they were part of. Well, I saw recently they became part of the 2003 Active Directory group, and I was like, well, that's weird. Who uses 2003 anymore? And I was like, well, you don't become part of a 2003 group for no freaking reason unless you're using it. So that's really interesting that they joined a group like that. So now you know, hey, maybe they're using 2003 boxes still, and now we know that there are common vulnerabilities for 2003 servers, so you can put 2 and 2 together. I also found their TeamViewer download link. So they had like a TeamViewer license. I found that download link specifically for their company that they install on their computers to remotely manage computers. So now that I've got this link, and now I can figure out the version, and we've all heard that there's been a bunch of exploits and vulnerabilities for TeamViewer. So those are the type of things that are really important to keep in mind, is that there's these little things that can really give you a bigger scope of what's going on or how to attack your target. So, gone fishing, people trust human voices, so phones are a great way. Attack vectors, so we're actually going to watch a couple of videos on this, and they're really freaking hilarious. So, this woman is like, she's really freaking good. So this guy went to DEF CON, and he asked professional hackers to hack him, and this woman goes through a social engineering exercise over the phone, and it is so dirty how she does it, and I love it because it's so brilliant at the same time. So we're going to watch it real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Hack me with his team, but they're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
We help people with human security issues by testing vulnerabilities for like a network test, but it's for the people network. We test those vulnerabilities, see where the holes are, and then help people learn to later patch them.
Can we try some of this? Can we try some?
Yeah,
see if it works?
we probably could have our star visitor here make some phone calls.
Let's do it.
Sure. You want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation. And basically, what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it. Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today, so I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for usage information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and, can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds, just
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on the account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account. Okay,
Jessica uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Okay, so there's no password on my account right now. Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my
Thank
password.
you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her set up. Alright, thank you.
Holy shit. So they access to my entire cell phone.
You're gonna have to go on and change your password right now because it's Jess, my name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call. I really thought that my cell phone company would protect me. I mean, like, this is the most basic stuff. And
So you basically get the TLDR that social engineering can be pretty easy when you start to learn the tips and tricks of learning things like a crying baby is a vulnerability that you can use against a person to help you out. They're like, oh my gosh, there's this mother on the other end, she really needs help, her baby's crying, let me be nice to her, try and make her day a little bit better. So we're gonna watch, next, we have one more clip. So the worst keeps getting worse.
hackers are everywhere. From a well-known security researcher to turn all of his firepower on me. I did get into quite a number of things that I found. So what were the first things you did? How did you start hacking? I quickly found your Squarespace blog and had an idea. Basically what I did was created a bogus Squarespace site and sent an email to you, a fish asking you to to go to this website, run the certificate install.
And I did it, because I'm an idiot.
He asked this guy to hack him. He knew it was going to happen, and he still clicked on it.
Now, once you ran that, it gave me access to your computer, and I created several fake pop-ups that looked like system pop-ups that would ask you for your credentials.
You didn't even have to have my passwords.
No, you gave them to me.
I gave them to you.
I stole your 1Password keychain.
That 1Password is where I store all my other passwords. So effectively,
And
by
your social security number and your Amex stuff and all your stock trading and bank information. I can send email to everyone in this room as you. I am you right now, if I wanted to be. If my evilness is working correctly, it should actually be taking pictures of your desktop and pictures through your webcam every 2 minutes. And I have been watching you for about 2 days now. On plane, editing stuff.
oh my god, so this is literally
Every 2 minutes.
through my webcam.
Yeah, through this guy.
How badly could you have messed up my life?
I could have made you homeless. I could have made you homeless and penniless.
How would you make me homeless?
Like, I have control of your digital life in its entirety. I have all your credentials, I have all your access to all your financial information, all your work information, all your personal information. I can pay people with your bank account or your Amex account. I am you. I can fully impersonate. The only thing I couldn't doctor would be like the fingerprints.
This is like as bad as it
It's ridiculous, yeah, it's bad.
So you get to see LPR. So.
It's like, yeah, I can totally.
Alright, cool.
That's a different
So we have this fancy, awesome tool called the Social Engineering Toolkit, which is what we're going to talk about today. Probably one of the toolkits you'll use the most to do social engineering. It's developed by Dave Kennedy. He's the guy who runs Trusted Sec. He's really awesome. He goes to B-sides all the time. He talks at DEF CON and all that. There's a DEF CON video of him actually social engineering someone in our resources at the end, so you should go watch that. That's pretty funny too. This social engineering toolkit was actually used in Mr. Robot. When they used it in Mr. Robot, a certain function didn't actually work, so Dave Kennedy has been working really hard to actually get that function to work now, the most stable release, so that's just a fun little tidbit. It integrates with Metasploit and exploits and vulnerabilities so that you guys can get reverse shells and all that. So that's really cool. So you guys can use known exploits and vulnerabilities to send people that and put those known vulnerability and exploits on like a web page. So if someone goes to your web page, now you got a shell. So start by nmapping the target as usual to get all the services that are provided by the company. So if they have an email server, see if you can replicate the email server, find out custom login portals so that you can clone those websites and send them like an email saying, hey, click here to log into this portal for your company, and they're like, oh, that looks like the normal portal. So they type in their credentials and all that, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So the SC toolkit has a bunch of different attack vectors. So we have spear phishing, which is all the way at the top, which is where we're sending out a malicious message, which can be sent as an email to a particular set of users. We have the website attack vectors, which we're using known exploits like vulnerabilities within browsers to compromise a host. And then we have infectious media generators, which you can use a PDF and then put like malicious type of code inside that PDF. So if they load it into Adobe and Adobe has a vulnerability, it will give you a shell. Great, right? So if you can start passing around malicious PDFs. We have mass mailer attack, which sends targeted / mass phishing attack. So you can send out like, if you got like an email list, you can just send a phishing attempt out to all these people, which is really great, or you can send out to a specific type of people. Wireless access points attack, where you can set up rogue access points so that everyone's wireless traffic goes through you. Common thing to know that's really cool. So, and it's really freaking simple and awesome. So, who's seen the SSID of Linksys? Who has their home router set to Linksys still? Okay, good. I'm glad there's no hands raised. So, typically by default, when you buy a Linksys router, the SSID is set to Linksys, and there's no password. And some people just leave it as such. So if you connect to a Linksys network with no password, your phone will remember that you connect to Linksys. So now if you go to your friend's house that has Linksys SSID with no password, your phone will automatically connect. Now, you being security people can go, I'll create an SSD called Linksys and give it no password. So, as they're walking through the hallways, their phone is automatically going to connect to your road network if they're not already connected to another wireless AP. So this is a really effective attack to use common SSIDs like Linksys and McDonald's because personal devices will store them.
So there's an even scarier variant to that attack, which will automatically associate with them. So as your phone is walking around, it's broadcasting SSIDs you're connected to, and there's an aircraft attacker who will automatically respond to any SSID you're sending out, so you don't even need to configure an access code for it to get you to connect to it.
So, even cooler, and then there's this QR generator, which you can generate QR codes to redirect users to websites and anything else to your imagination, so that's really cool. So, phishing email. So, it's email with the most malicious links or attachments enticing users to click them. So, we're trying to make clickbait, but we're trying to do it better. They are easily identifiable, like, hey, the Nigerian prince and all that, but they're starting to get more sophisticated, as we saw in the video. So, spear phishing, sending highly customized emails to a few users. Being a Nigerian prince is overrated. So elements of a good phishing email: use social media or to obtain an email or an email scheme. So you want to find. So if you're attacking a company, you want to find out what their email scheme. So like if you want to attack RIT, you'd want to know that our email scheme is the username at rit.edu. That'll really help you a lot. And then all you need is usernames in front of that. Put urgent in the subject, because everyone clicks on everything that says urgent in their inbox, right? And then always include the company's logo, which is really cool because people go, oh, it has a logo, so it must be from my company. Woohoo, click. And then in the actual body of the email, send a nice threat / complaint or claim so that people go, oh my gosh, I gotta click on this right away. So a common one that people will use is say, hello, and then insert their name. I am so-and-so from Human Resources. We have alerts from the IT department that your recent web history has things that you shouldn't be doing at work. And they're like, oh my gosh, I haven't been looking at porn during work. I'm gonna go click it. They don't even think about it. They're just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my job. So sometimes common sense just goes straight out the window. So use things like that. So yeah, if you clone like a login portal or, actually sorry, not a login portal, backing up. If you put a web link in there, make sure it looks legit, like actually try. So like include their actual logo or seal. That logo and seal is like the most important thing. Like if people see that, they believe like all the time that it's from their company that just has their logo on there. It's incredible. Here's an example of phishing attempt, and then when you click this link, it takes you to a login page like RC3. It looks really real. We got our RC3 logo, looks like the common login, and then you click sign in, and we've collected their credentials. Something that's really cool with the SC Toolkit is that you can set up is that it'll clone a website like Facebook.com. So it'll give the Facebook login portal. People will type in their username and password. It'll collect that. It'll take that and then log them into Facebook, and they're none the wiser. So that's really freaking cool. They're none the wiser that you've done that. What's up?
And you're also gonna like chase like most Margo stuff, right? You can copy their.
Yep, you can clone any website. One thing to keep in mind though, and this is really cool, someone told me, is that Facebook has username and then password on the same page, but Google makes you type in your username and then on the next page is the password, so it makes it harder to do that. So the SC Toolkit, so we're gonna do a single email alert. So you press 1 in the social engineering toolkit, and then you press 5 for the mass emailer, and then you press 1 that you want to send a single email to a specific address. We're going to say we're sending it from Bill Dessler at rt.edu. And then you can use a known email server that you have set up, or an open SMTP relay that you know of, a destination email that you want to send it to, enter Bill Dessler for the name. And then type in the IP address of an open SMTP relay, the port that it's running on, and then you don't want to set the email to priority because you want to be kind of stealthy. And then you may or may not wish to send an attachment, so you can change that. We're just going to do no for this example. And then we're going to type in banjos, bongos, and party for our subject, because that sounds like Dessler to me. And then P to actually send an email plain text. You can choose to send it in HTML. Type in the body of your email, and then at the end just hit end, or type in end, and it'll send it. So this actually works in RIT's network. You can send emails to Bill Dessler. Use at your own risk. So you can actually send text messages using the same thing we just talked about. So we're going to send text messages. So using the mass mailer attack, we're going to send a bunch of messages to a plethora of cell phone numbers. So we're going to use the mass emailer attack. So you're just going to follow the same steps that we did in the previous slide for this one, except you're just going to choose mass mailer attack. You need two pieces of information. You need to know their phone number, and then you need to know their carrier. You can get their carrier number simply from doing a Google lookup. So use the steps on the previous slide. Then you're going to create a file where each line has a new thing that you want to send to. So when you figure out their carrier, you type in their number, and then VText is Verizon. So this is Verizon's gateway, so that if you want to send a text message, all you do is you load up in the email thing, you go phone number @vtext.com, and then Verizon's gateway will just forward that via email to the actual recipient on the other end. So you can send out a mass text message to a bunch of different people, and then enter the file location, and then just continue the steps from the previous page. Social engineering. So love your RC3 board members and spoon us this coming week. So what does that mean? So here at the front we have a bunch of spoons from past events that we don't know what to do with because we never use spoons. So we came up with this great idea. So what you're going to do is you're going to write your RITDCE, so ABC 1, 2, 3 on the spoon, and then you're going to throughout the week, this next coming week, you can slip the spoon into e-board members' pockets. If you get it into one of our pockets successful without us noticing, you get 100 points per e-board member.
Only once per e-board member.
Only once per e-board member. If we catch you, that's it for that e-board member. So if I catch you, you can't try and do it again to me. You can try, but I'm not going to give you points because just like social engineering, what you call it once, the jig's up.
Are the pockets just like this?
Yes, I'm going to get to the pockets. So I'm going to go buy yoga pants. Doesn't have pockets. Do not slip it in here. That's weird. Don't do that. That's weird. But if I'm wearing my CCDC jacket, you can slip it into the side pocket on my CCDC jacket. However, if my CCDC jacket's laying like that, you can't slip it in the pocket. It has to be on me. Book bags don't count either.
If they don't have pockets, can we like tape it to you?
You have to get creative for that one.
Make your own pockets.
However,
Not weird about it.
I'll offer additional bonus points because we were joking around that if someone could tie it to our shoelaces. So if you can actually tie our shoe with a spoon tied in between the knot, we'll give you an extra 100 points.
I will buy you a bidder if you can get that time in my shoelace.
So there's your actual goal for social engineering. So use this tactic. So what you really have to do is I'm going to be like, stay away all week long. I'm going to be like, stay away 10 feet. Don't get in my bubble, right? Stay away from me. So you have to figure out a reason to get in my bubble, which may be hard because, well, I don't want you in my bubble because I know what you're trying to do. So figure out reasons to get in my bubble. Look up social engineering. Find out tactics that you can do. So what you can do is be like, hey Ben, I need help on the RC3 demo. I'm like, okay, I'll come help you. And then you're like, slip. And then I'm like, all right, done. So find out different ways to get inside my space. Sometimes you don't have to get in it. Maybe I come to you. So use different social engineering tactics.
You give us back the spoon if you find out.
Yeah, I can give you back the spoon. No, well, I'll give you back the spoon. But we have a whole bunch of spoons, so come grab a bunch. Put your name on it. If I walk away with your spoon, and you don't, so you should tell me when you put the spoon in my pocket that you've done it. If I walk away, I have ambiguity whether to believe that you put that spoon in my pocket. If you didn't write your RITDCE on it. Alright, so make sure to write your identifier on the spoon so if we walk away with it in our pockets, we know who it was. So, also, we're going to be verifying this, but just so we know how to do points at the end of the week, and it really helps us. For this week, for the flag submission, we actually have like spooned an e-board member. If you can just go put in something, hey, I spooned so-and-so at this time so that we can just go back and verify it, and we can verify it later in the week that you actually did do it, and we can give you points just so we have a record. So if you guys can just help us out on that. Any questions about this? Remember, if I'm wearing yoga pants, don't do this. That's weird. I don't want anyone doing that. Pockets.
You think that's weird? You wear yoga pants if I wear it.
Hey, I'm just trying to win. I don't trust any of you. So backpacks don't count. Does anyone have any questions? All right, cool. So,
I got a question.
what's up?
Hoods. No.
No.
It's a pocket iron person.
easy. I don't really pay attention to my hood. I want you to try and social engineer and get me in your space. You can just come up behind me while I'm working in the lab tonight, no idea, and you slip a spoon in my hood, and that's the end of that. It's an easy 100 points, so no hood.
Well, if you're more than coordinated, you get someone to get into your space so that you can't like sit in their pocket.
That's your problem, not mine. So figure it out. Have fun with this. We want to give you guys an exercise.
Wait, I don't know if you went over this.
What's up?
No. Who we're targeting?
All right. So do we have any more questions about the spoons? All right. So if you got any questions,
If we get someone else to get involved, does that count?
what do
As
you
long
mean?
as you get the spoon in our pocket, and we will record the name on this.
So,
We'll have your name on the spoon, your RIT email on the spoon.
so don't have other people put spoons in my pocket like you do it, so you guys get like the experience of doing that. All right. So today's demo, we're going.
I would like to count that. I think that's a very good opportunity for them getting someone else to do their dirty work for them. If I can get someone who has more trust for the person to give them effective feedback, I will do that.
Sure, why not? I don't all right, so today's demo, you're going to be targeting Ben Weber Jenkins. He exists online. He has for a little while. So you're going to social engineer / recon his profile and his life. You have to social engineer, so put some effort into it when you social engineer him. Most people just send me something, give me your password. No, delete, goodbye. I'm not going to even respond with a no. I'm just going to delete it. Then you're going to be like, where's my password? So put some effort into it, okay? I'm not going to respond. I'm just going to delete it at the end of the day. Do not brute force accounts. You don't have to. This demo doesn't require you to brute force. Everything's given to you in such a way that you guys can get access to accounts and stuff that you need without brute forcing. Don't try to brute force. The passwords are 15 characters long. Uppercase, lowercase, and special characters. So you don't have enough time in the week to do all of it. So have fun. So go upstairs and we're going to get started with it.
Is that you?
No.
No, I mean like Ben. Or is that someone else?
Then you get to make out like
Alright, you're the one giving out the answer.
yeah, I'm going to be the one on the other end.
Should they get their spoons now?
Spoons are up at the front, so are stickers that say make malware great again, so come grab that. RC3 stickers, come grab spoons.
2016.
Can we pass this? Right, there we go.
There's only 7 e-board
That was a
members, so
pretty
you
good
don't need
throw,
that many
though.
spoons.
Thank you.
If you do it, I'll evaluate it then. I'll be impressed. What if I stick it behind your ear? Pockets. I'm going to feel it in my ear. Am I sleeping? I wasn't sleeping.